believe we are created for greatness, not mediocrity. That we are to live our lives accordingly, striving to be agents of change as we attempt to leave this world a better place than we found it. Hey folks, thanks for joining me here tonight on this very special edition of PLS Tips with Manny. I'm your host Manny Lopez, and today is the 8th installment of the Power Lead System coaching series, PLS Tips with Manny, and today I want to switch it up a little bit. Normally I teach you guys on different marketing strategies, through email marketing, social media, face-to-face networking, phone sales. I've taught on a lot of different topics, but today I want to give you guys an inside look of how I was able to generate some experience in marketing techniques using these strategies. So what I'm going to do today is really just give you an inside look of my life, what I've done, where I've been, and how I got to this position I'm at right now. So to start off with, let's just start from the beginning. Okay, I was born in Riverside, California, back in 1987. I'm a Pisces, and I guess I don't really care too much about that zodiac stuff, but yeah, last day of Pisces I think is pretty cool. I'm always born on the first day of spring, which is always really nice, March 20th. So yeah, well, I was born in Riverside Hospital, General Hospital, I guess. I don't know too much about my younger life, being that I'm adopted. I was taken away from my family, or my mother, at 18 months. And the reason we'd been taken away is because we were living in a vehicle. At the time we were homeless, and my mother was, I guess, kind of strung out on drugs and stuff like that. So I was taken away, put into foster care, and I still remember my foster parents. The names were Shirley and Bob, and don't remember too much about life there. Wasn't too well. I knew there was always bugs on the floor because that's where I used to sleep, and I used to always wake up with bugs in my ears and stuff like that. It was disgusting. But I remember eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich one time with my sister, and also the other girl that was also not adopted with us, but with the foster parents, I guess, at the same time. I don't remember her name, but we lived in like some type of like bar type of scenario thing. It was pretty cool, but yeah, pretty weird. Anyways, I was significance of the number 8 kind of works with my adoption as well, because I was adopted and returned a total of 7 times, and finally adopted to my last family the 8th time, which is the family that still to this day I have, which ended up being finally adopted at about 3.5, and I was adopted with my blood sister, which is really cool. So I actually do know a full relative of my own, but other than that I know nobody from my other family. I tried to reach out to find my mother. Ended up finding that I have another brother out there, and he's about probably 5 years, 6 years younger than me, and he's I don't know too much about him. Never really met him. Talked to him on the phone one time. That's about it. From there, grew up with a family that had been about a 3rd generation Hispanic American family, and I was adopted because our family, or my mother and father that adopted us, was trying to have kids but couldn't, and found me and my sister at a park one day, and I guess my foster parents had taken us to the park, and that's how we had been found. And then I guess the rest is history from there. I don't need to spend too much time on that subject, but from there I just I grew up a lot on video games, on just being very interactive with a lot of different things that I had to spend a lot of time with family and cousins, and grew up with a lot of boy cousins, and that was always fun, getting into trouble and just causing a ruckus as normal boys do. But from there, I was always a salesman. You can always hear stories from my family about being 5 to 8, 9 years old, and putting price tags on all my toys when my family would come over and see if my cousins would want to buy toys, even though they never have any money. But I'd always assume the sale, assume the sale. I'd go in there thinking that, yes, I'm going to sell some toys, make some money, buy some new toys. Man, I was just weird. But, I always had that salesman attitude of being, trying to better myself and just get out there and hustle, and make it happen. My first sales job was out of high school. After high school, I had gotten a sales job. My first ever sales job was selling medical discount. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was in high school when I used to sell newspapers door to door. This is probably sophomore year, I believe. Sophomore or junior year. I can't remember exactly when. It was like 15, 16 years old. And it was a commission-only job. There was no hourly. And we literally would go door to door. They'd pick us up in this big white van. We'd go door to door. They'd drop us off in some neighborhood, and we'd just start selling newspapers. We'd tell them, hey, we're trying to raise some money for some whatever school thing that we would say that we were raising money for. And I always assumed that we would get them too, because I was like, yeah, when we sell enough, how many do we got to sell to actually get this? And they're like, yeah, you just got to sell hundreds of them. You'll get them soon. By the end of the summer, you should be able to get it. I'm like, all right, nice. And so did that. That was my first show. That was pretty fun. I didn't make nothing. I was making $100, $200 a week. Doing a full on every day, 4, 5, 6 hours, Monday through Friday. Saturdays we would do a 12-hour day. It was crazy hours, but we were definitely paid less than minimum wage. But I would be out there hustling, and I liked it because you'd go out there and you'd make your own income. You decide what it is that you're going to make. And you would just go out there and try to make sales to get it done. So that was my first sales job. Then I went into another sales job doing medical discount plans, and I've sold that, and I've also sold, it was kind of like those, you sell them, or you get a discount card that you give to your doctor and you get 20% off. That was another commission job. That was fun. Then I went into selling this, what was it called? Printer, like printer cartridges. That was my first phone sales position, where I'd actually go out there and take inbound calls. I'd do cold calling, read from a script. I'd learn all kinds of different sales techniques. I worked through a lot of different telemarketing jobs, and that's where I learned a lot of different of my lead generation capabilities and also my sales phone skills. Because with this one job that we worked with, that was the one that sold the medical discount plans. They put us through this week-long training where we had some guy come in, and he would come in and do these sales trainings and teach you guys how to sell on the phone, how to use inflections, and how to when you're writing out your script, you use italicized for some that you would elongate words on, and bold them, the ones that you want to emphasize on. So we went through a lot of different types of sales techniques and going over rebuttals and stuff like that. So a lot of my rebuttal training come from that sales from there. From there, I went into selling cars. That was pretty fun. I sold for Nissan. I sold for Toyota, and those are the days where you're making $5 to $10 grand a month, and that was fun. I mean, crazy numbers where we'd top salesman at the dealership, and you do a December. I remember one December we made, I think it was about $12,000 I brought in for one December. That was exciting. Very good Christmas that year, but it was pretty good stuff. I mean. We'd go out there and it always have some type of sales techniques that you could utilize to any business. I mean, I would learn, from one company how to do rebuttals this. Then I go to another company and I'd learn how to do some rebuttals, and it would be exactly the same. The same type of questions you'd get when you talk to somebody about selling anything is the same thing you'd get from company A to company Z. It's always, let me think about it. Let me talk to my partner. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I can't afford it. It's crazy. And then I just came to realize that all of this sales techniques that I would learn could be applied to any business. So I would just gather up as much knowledge as I can and try to learn different techniques from different people. I've from there, working at dealerships, I ended up going into debt consolidation. I did very, very well in there. I worked for a company. I don't want to think I should name names. No, probably not. So I worked for a company for a couple years, and top salesman there. Everywhere I went, I pretty much became a top salesman, because just, you would take the techniques that you'd have and just apply them, and find a way to just talk to the people on their level. You just got to relate to them. So I just found a way to figure out how to figure out the type of person that person is, and then go in there and just say, okay, this is the type of person I need to mold myself into. And I would talk to people on a daily basis. And the best part about my job is, when doing phone sales, you're talking to different walks of life every day. I mean, when I worked at this debt consolidation company, we would help people get out of debt by either using debt settlement or credit counseling. And I would favor more the credit counseling, because it would be something where you pay everybody back 100%, plus some interest, and you're paying it on a set amount that goes to them every single month. Where debt settlement, where we would take all the money ourselves, we'd hold the money, and then we would try to contact the creditor, say, hey, we got all the money, we'll work with you on X amount. This person has X amount of debt, they've got 20 different creditors, and we can settle. We'll try to settle with you, saying, if we have a $10,000 debt amount, we can do $2,500 to try and settle this out right now. I mean, we try to get really, really low amounts, and you can get as low as like 10% when trying to selling with the creditors. But then it goes on your credit report as settled, didn't pay in full. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much in the long run, but for some people, they like to pay their debts in full. Some people, they'd rather just pay a very small portion. So for me, though, I'd like to just push them all into affordable payment. Just work with them and say, hey guys, let's find something that's reasonable that we can afford to pay them back on. And we always just find a way to fit it in their budget. And I just talk to people from all walks of life. I mean, business owners, I talk to unemployed people, I talk to school teachers, I talk to firefighters, policemen, people in government. I've talked to the stay-at-home moms. I talk to the blue-collar people, the guys working, the 9-to-5s, working 40 hours, 60 hours, 80 hours a week. I've talked to all walks of life, so I can kind of understand the type of people that are out there. And having that type of experience is what makes it real different, because you can go out there and try to learn people just by researching them, but until you actually experience interacting with people, it's just a whole nother ballgame. So I went from working at a debt consolidation company. I worked there for 2 years. I was 2.5 years or so. That was one of the longest places I had worked at. And I was only about 22, 23 probably. 22, 23 when I left there. And I left because every day they would come in and they would tell us, they would say, top of the board, these are the types of people that are on our promoted to managers. And I wanted to be a manager. I came in when I started that, came into the company, and I got interviewed. They said, what do you want to do when you get here? And I told them, my position is to be in the position you're at, being able to manage a team, show people how to become a salesman, how to close sales, and I can train people. I've had so much experience in selling, and I was top salesman at all these different places. I worked at all these different types of companies, and I just take that experience, and I wanted to find a place where I could just cement my roots in and just build with that company. Because I always get to a point where I'm a salesman, and I want to become a manager. I want to become a team leader, somewhere where I can manage a team of people and train them. And I just never got that opportunity. They just never gave it to me. They just said, you're too young, you just don't have the experience, you haven't been here long enough, and that's fine. So I was like, all right, great. I'll find a company where I can just cement it in. I know it's going to be going places, they're not going anywhere, and try to see how far I can go. So I worked with that company for about 2.5 years and did everything they told me to do. They say every guy that's a closer here, every guy that's a manager here, they've always been the number one people, the number one that's been on the board. So I said, all right, well, then that's what I got to do. I got to be number one, and I got to stay number one. I got to show them that there's no one else that's going to be better than me at this position. And I tried to do as best as I could, as much as I could, and I broke as many records as I could in that company. I was 10 months in a row number one before the whole kind of stuff hit the fan, I guess you'd say. I did everything. I broke every record they had based on of what we could produce and the amount of stuff that I could produce them out. So for years, I had just put myself into that company and did everything they said. I was there early. I'd come in early at 7 o'clock and, leave at 7 o'clock at night. And just put in my time, put in my effort. And when it came down to actually promoting, they said, hey, we need one more manager. And I'd been there just about 2 years. And so I was like, this is my time. This is my position now. And I've been number one for about 8 to 9 months in a row at that time, when they started kind of doing the manager interviews and seeing who is going to be the person that they bring on. So after all the interview process and everything, it comes down to a meeting. And you say, everybody come in. We're going to announce the pick for a manager. And so they go in there and they do this big old speech. And so they go, well, we couldn't decide. And so we had to pick two. And everybody had, everybody come up to me and they were just like, oh, good luck, Manny. Good luck, Manny. I know it's yours for sure. I mean, obviously, who else is going to be there? No one's been number one for you for as long as you have. The longest before that, I think it had been 8 months or 7 months in a row or something like that. And I had just broken the top record, which is the guy who was like VP of the company at the time now. So it was like, well, obviously, it's my position to be there. And I've been telling them that's where I wanted to be. And I've been training other people. And even the compliance officers were like, man, if we could just duplicate you, Manny, to everybody, our company would just skyrocket to the world, because it's just, you know how to sell it properly. You know how to make it clear and understanding to people. And you just made it easy for people to sign up. And I said, yes, and I can duplicate that. Give me the chance. Let me do it. And it came down to them hiring not only one person that was not myself, but two people. And they and these guys were like number 12, number 19 on the board, and I just thought, what? That didn't make no sense. And everyone was just shocked. And it was like the weirdest day, because everyone just came up to me and was like, oh man, sorry about that. Oh man, that sucked. Oh man, that should have been yours. And it just even hurt even more. And I was just like, why am I putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this company, not seeing my family, working 12-hour days to build someone else's dream? Why? What's the point? It doesn't make any sense. So I made a vow at that time, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to find a way to make my own company, to build my own business, to live my dream. And my dream at the time had been to work from home. 2008 was the year I did all this, another 8. So it was one of my best years. I broke $80,000 in income, another 8 significance there. But it just came to a point where just like, I brought in about $250,000 in sales to that company. And I got $80,000 or more, a little bit more out of that. And I just thought, I'm building someone else's dream. I'm doing all this work and putting all this effort in for the guy to drive 4 or 5 Lamborghinis. I mean, I had a decent car, but still, it's like, I can run circles around these guys. I can do what they're doing. Why am I limiting myself? And everybody has got that same mentality. It's just like, they go in there and they want that security of having that 9-to-5 job, or having that, weekly, bi-weekly paycheck. But for me, I'm the risk taker. I'm the person that says, you know what, if I have a vision, I want to do it, and I'm going to strive to do it, and I'm going to find a way to do it. And so from there, I left the company. I decided, you know what, I left a position where I was easily making $6 to $8 grand a month. And I just, thought, no way, I can do this and then some myself. And I just calculated the numbers. I'm like, the sales that I'm making, if I did this and had my own company, I mean, obviously it would make more sense. So what I had to figure out was, what is this company doing that I need to be doing, that I can duplicate? So I looked at everything that the companies that I've been working with have done, and I said, what is the difference between the successful ones and the non-successful ones? And every single one, it's always come down to leads. Leads, leads, leads. How are the leads for that company? Are they inbound? Are they outbound? Are they cold? Are these leads that have been called 100 times? Because every single sales organization just always comes down to that point. If the sales aren't there for the whole company, it's because of leads. Leads aren't coming in properly. So we had to find a way to generate some great leads. So at that point, I decided, let's work for a couple other companies, different industries of the types of marketing that I'm looking to do, because I wanted to come up with a product that was different, that was unique, that could fill a void in the industry. And I ended up coming around to the SEO industry, and I worked with a company. It was an Inc. 500 company, and I kind of built myself into the company and kind of focused on how to market to this type of industry, because I looked at the consumer side and I saw that, finding a business on the consumer side, like a debt consolidation, I didn't want to find a business where I'm competing with the company I just left for a couple years. So I was like, I got to find a completely new industry. So I thought, let's find out, I'm targeting consumers with my debt consolidation business. So let's say, all right, well, let's find a business that targets business. So when I found SEO, I thought, well, this is a perfect type of industry. It's B2B. It's completely different from what I'm normally doing, and I can do it by sales, and I can find a way to do this. But then going into SEO, I saw, well, dude, there's a dime a dozen of these companies. They're everywhere. SEO companies by the yin yang. And then working with this company that I had found, I realized that only about 50% of the people that we were signing up, we could actually help. So I was like, well, that kind of sucks. I don't want to do a business where only half the people that we can sign up actually can really benefit. So I developed a product that focused on social media, and it was just a cool, different product that was just, it filled a void that was in the industry. And I was able to say, I can find a way to do business this way. And so I started my own lead company, and I started building a network of business leads. And I was just saying, let me just data mine as many business leads as I can. And so I just ended up finding a way to target leads by industry. So I went and got this lead program that I created, where it basically scraped leads from Google, Yahoo, Bing, anywhere that you can search for a different industry. So for example, I would go in there and say plumber Irvine, and it would give me every single plumber that would match Irvine plumber with those keywords, and I would be able to data mine that information. I would get their name, phone number, the name of the company, the phone number, the location of where they're located, and basically the industry as well. So I didn't really get email addresses and stuff like that, but it was pretty useful for something like a call center that would be able to use a predictive dialer and stuff like that. So I ended up starting to sell leads to the company I was working at, and because I was data mining my own leads, I started selling my own leads. And then, or actually I didn't even sell them to them yet. I had first started selling them to my own prospects. I would sell the SEO business to those leads. So I had worked out a deal with the company saying, hey, let me be my own opener and my own closer. And they call me a hybrid, which is pretty cool. So I was the first hybrid in the company, because they had a system where you'd have openers and then have these closers that would walk around in the background and literally have the little clipboard, and then just walk around, and you'd literally stand up and say TO, or I need closer, or something like that, where your TO would come running and take over the phone and try to close the deal for you. So you go through a script, talk about what it is that the business does. If they have an interest, you say, okay, TO, and then somebody would get on the phone and close the deal. For me, obviously coming in, you'd have to be an opener. So I'd say, all right, let me be an opener, and then I would TO deals, and I'd get closed sales, and then I started closing my own deals. And come in there and basically go in there and I would open it and close my own deals. So I'd say, hey, let me just be an opener and closer myself. And then so they gave me my own little office, and I was opener and closer. And then they gave me a nice little salary along with my commission, which was pretty cool. And then I started selling my own leads. I started calling my own leads, my own prospects, and then selling them. And they said, well, how are you making so many sales? And I said, well, I'm calling my own leads, and I'm doing my own thing. So the company said, well, let's do like a little trial batch. And so I sold them, $1,000 worth of leads, and I said, hey guys, let's do a trial batch. And they tried them for a week, and they said, well, these are freaking good, man, let's keep trying them. So we continued to buy leads, and we worked out a deal. And so I said, okay, so I'm making a small percentage of the overall sale to this company. They're doing all the work, of course, so that's great. But I could be making my own sales. My leads are obviously good, because the leads that the company's buying, this Inc. 500 company that are buying these leads, they're buying their own leads, and they're saying, well, let's prefer to buy Manny's leads that he's able to data mine himself. Well, shoot, let's say, okay, well, let's develop my own product then. So I developed my own product and started my own business. At that time, this was about August of 2010 or 2000. Yeah. Well, I started my almost slipped there. Started my my own lead business about a year before that, in 2009. This is about when my second son was born. So that's when I started the lead business, but then started my own main business where I just went 100% my own. And I did that in 2010, so August of 2010, which again, 8th month of the year. So as you can see, the significance of 8s in my life has just been very weird. It just randomly, they'll come in there, I was just like, wow, another 8, another 8, which is pretty cool, because if I can find something that matches with that 8, I'm kind of more torn towards that idea, which is pretty weird, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, back to what I was saying before I was totally caught off topic there. What else was I saying? So, okay, so I started my own business. It was really cool there because I started with about a 10-man team. We had my own office right next to Disneyland, and we were literally down the street. And our first 6 months, we did about $100,000 in sales. And it was a very, very big learning process. I mean, it's a very, big amount of income that came in. The problem, though, is that owning your own business, literally starting from scratch and going that big that quick. I mean, we made 100 sales, 100 new clients our first month, and it was just, we went too big too fast. And it was just, we developed a product that didn't have a back end to it at that point. So it was more like we're kind of learning as we go. I knew a product would be great, and we just got to teach people how to use that product. So at this point, for the next 3 years, at that, I've just been developing and tweaking and coming up with new ideas and new different marketing techniques, and we've got it to a point now to where it's very, very effective. But it's been a very big learning process that past couple of years, and now we want to kind of grow at that point. But coming out that big is just it was very, very a very big learning process. And I've just been tweaking at that point and going to different seminars and coaching materials and different stuff that I've been looking at, like Zig Ziglar's training. I've done a lot of ebooks, Anthony Robbins stuff. I've gone and seen Les Brown in person. I'm a member of CEO Space. There's a lot of different ways that you can grow your network, and it's always just about experience. I mean, you can go out there and you can read books and do all that kind of stuff, but until you're out there shaking the hands with these types of people and learning from them and seeing them in action, it's always, you're going to learn by doing. You can read a book all day long, but until you actually apply those principles into real life situations, you're just going to be sitting it, thinking about it as a wonder instead of an experience. So that's kind of the focus of what we're kind of going with. And I've gotten to a position where now I've been asked to be able to speak in front of people. I've spoken in front of a couple hundred people at a time. My biggest audience was probably, live audience was pretty small so far. I still want to go get a lot bigger, but my biggest audience has been about 250 people, which I thought was really cool. It was this nice expo that we did, and I spoke about social media training and stuff like that. But I've gone and I want to go out there and I teach people, because the stuff that I can coach on, it works. I mean, if people apply the stuff that I do, it works, because I've just gone through a bunch of trial and error, and I've just seen that, okay, this is working and this one doesn't. So we just find a way to mimic that into your type of business and just duplicate it, because every single business is the same when it comes to objections for the clients that they're working with. It's always down to, I need to think about it, I need to do this, or I need to do that. So you just have to find a way to approach your client the right way to where they don't say no. They can't say no. I was talking to this guy about a week, 2 weeks ago, and this guy's just on a whole nother level than I am. You gotta rub shoulders with the people that are levels higher than you. It's the only way that you're going to be able to grow. And I'm definitely going to be able to keep this guy's information handy and just touch base with him as many times as I can. But this guy, he was at the Expo event that I was when I launched a Power Lead System a couple weeks ago. He was at that same event, and he had told me he had generated like close to like 100 leads from that event, and I generated like only about 40 to 50, and I thought that was really good. And I was like, man, this guy's just on fire. And he kind of shows me the little bit of stuff that he does, and he's asking me questions like, what are your goals this year? And I told him, I was like, my goal is to hit $8 million. It's my favorite number, and that's the goal I'm hitting. I know it's big. I've never gotten nowhere close to that number, but that's where I'm shooting for. And he said, well, yeah, I mean, everybody's got a monetary goal, but what's your real goal? What's the purpose of that goal? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of already living my goal. I'm already living my dream, which is to own my own business and to be able to work that business from home to where I can spend that time with my family. And he goes, bingo, exactly. That's exactly what the type of goal you should be having. It's something where it's not monetary. It's not stuck to a product or something that's, you can buy. It's something that you can experience. And that's what you kind of should be going for out there, guys, is go for a goal that is going to change your life or to change the life of people around you. Because just having you around in people's life, if you have kids or if you have sisters and brothers, mothers, uncles, family, having yourself around there and being with them is an experience in itself, and you'll be able to make memories. And that's what people remember down the road when you're old and you're gray. It's not going to be, the yachts that you bought or the cars that you drove. It's the life experiences that you had, the places that you were traveled, the people that you were with. That's the things that are making the difference in your life, and what is going to make you want to be who you are or who you're going to be. Those types of goals that you should be looking at, guys, is finding a way where you said, what can I experience? What can I do in my life that makes a difference to not only myself, but the people around me? So that's just a little bit of insight into who I am and a little bit of experience of my life. I didn't go into too depth of my entire life circle. I'm going to go into a little bit of me being adopted and stuff like that, which I want people to know, because it's just, the experience of what you do in your life is what molds you into the person you are. And I've just gone to a lot of different sales organizations, a lot of different businesses that I've worked with, a lot of different industries, and I've developed my mindset into having the sense of being positive and not giving up, and not just going out there and saying, just because I failed once, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You're gonna fail in life, and if you haven't failed, you haven't lived. So, go out there and fail. Go out there and try things that are risk takers, because you're going to find that one thing that works, that takes you to the next level, and that just makes you happy. Don't keep working in a job that makes you miserable. Why? Why build someone else's dream and be miserable and take that time away from your family? You're getting paid by the time in your life. You don't get paid with money. You get paid with time. That money is to buy things. You're paid because you give them your time, they pay you money, you buy stuff with that money, okay? So you give them time of your life, time you can't get back, because the only thing that you're not able to get back is time. You go back and they just give you some monetary value with that. Now, if you're able to build your own business, look at the income that people are making right now. If you look at what the median income is out there, what, $30,000 a year? If you understand the income that a small business can make just by working from home, yeah, it's different and sporadic, but you can easily cover that type of income with any type of business from home. So you just have to find something that you love and make it a business. I like helping people. I like showing people how to do things. That's what I like to do. I like to be, I guess you can say, in control of people's minds or thoughts and stuff like that. But it's more of like, I like having an influence. I like being able to make things change. I like seeing things where I told somebody how to do something, and they've been doing something maybe all their life or whatever, and they do that one difference that I showed them, and it just gives them a completely different outlook on their life or their business or their whatever they're doing. And it's just amazing to see that type of stuff, and people see like, Manny, I did this and it changes. Or, like I made this little graphic a week ago or so, and I know a lot of people that are watching this know what graphic I'm talking about, where it has the free lead system at the top, and then it's got just little check marks of what the free lead system has. And all it was just simple slap on a logo to a screenshot from a lead capture page that's already in the system. And people message me and comment. That post alone got like 30 something comments or something like that. And were people going on there and they're just saying, oh, thanks, oh my God, this is great. And people messaging me saying, oh, Manny, I use this and I got so much response, I got a couple sales from it. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. See, just people using the little things that I teach them and just having responses with it and having success with it. And that's what I'm going for. If you guys can take what I tell you, and just one person goes out there and makes a difference in their life and their business and generates more income, so they can put food on the table for their family, or they can pay the mortgage or have the roof over their head. I've been in a position where I've been down on my luck. I've been growing a business. Growing the business that I'm at right now, it's been one of the toughest things that I've had to do in my life. I've taken a family of 4, me, my wife, and my 2 kids, and I've risked it all. I've been on the verge of having my car repossessed. I've had been evicted from my place. Police knocking on doors telling you, hey, you got to get out. You've got an hour to pack up all your stuff. I've been in that position, and I know what it's like. And I've told myself it's not going to happen again. You know, I'm not going to build someone else's dream. I'm going to build my own dream, and I'm not going to be in a position where it's going to be that difficult for me and my family. So every day I have to keep trying harder and harder not to do this, not to be in a position where, you know, I have to give up. You know, you take this leap, and I told myself I'm not going back. You know, my family building this business have told me, you know, you should get a real job, you know, get an hourly job, or at least get a night job, because, you know, the times where, you know, we'd get our car repossessed or something, you know, the times where we were just evicted and had to go live with family or something. You know, it's been very difficult at times, but you look at those and you say, I don't know, it's like, for me, you know, for other people, they say, you know, I look at that and go, you know what, that's my sign to quit. You know, that's my sign that I need to give up, that I need to go back. But for me, it's different. It's a sign that it's another challenge. It's another step and obstacle in front of my dream, because it's going to happen. You know, I'm going to be where I want to be. It's going to take me longer than expected, probably. Who knows? Of course. There's always going to be obstacles you don't see. And, you know, you get to that point where it's literally just a couple of weeks. It's what makes the difference. A couple of weeks of whether you get a client or whether you don't, to whether you're behind on that or you're not. So for me, it's just, if you just keep putting in the work and you keep putting in the effort, you're going to get the results that you're going to get. And, you know, I just look at every single obstacle that I get as, I kind of laugh at it, and I just say, you know, keep trying. You know, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, no matter what obstacles I'm going to face, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm going to keep trying, because I'm going to hit that point to where I don't have to look back and say, darn, or look back and say, shoot, this might happen again. You know, I'm going to get to a point where it's going to be financial security, and it's going to be, I'm never going to have to worry about a bill again. I'm never going to have to worry about, you know, wondering where my next meal is going to come from, wondering if I'm going to have a roof over my head next week, wondering if I'm going to get a knock on the door and they're going to come take my stuff. I've been there and I've done that, and I see it now as a point where I just got to keep trucking, got to keep going. And I'm at a position where I'm happy with my life. I'm excited. I'm helping people, and it's coming back. And I've always looked at karma as something that is really true, because I've put a lot of bad karma out there in my life, and I've seen a lot of it come back. And now I'm starting to put a lot more good karma out there, and I'm seeing a lot of it start to come back. So just go out there, guys, and just stay positive. No matter how hard it looks, no matter how difficult it looks, just keep trucking with it, and it will happen. It will happen. I'm telling you, from experience, it will happen. So I think I've taken up of time tonight. Thank you for joining me, and I really hope what I've talked about today can really touch some of you guys, really in the mind of what it is that you can do and what is possible. Because even my mindset, even my situation where, you know, I grew up poor and I didn't have a lot of money, and we've dealt with the same situation I've dealt with in growing this business, where, you know, we've got that knock on the door and they've come taking our car away, you know, where we've lived around with other different families. I mean, I don't know if we've been specifically evicted. I mean, they've hid that stuff a lot from me. I was able to kind of block out a lot of the problems that went on in my house, and I didn't know a lot of the things that were going on. And you know, come to find out it later in life, where, you know, that house that I grew up in, it wasn't that we sold it because we wanted to move closer to family, like everyone told me. It was because we couldn't afford it. We went through bankruptcy and we're going broke, you know. And that's the type of stuff that was like, wow. I mean, this is, you know, it happens to a lot of people, and it's just there's just so many things that go out there, and everyone's got their own story. You've heard a little bit of mine today, and I just hope that you can take what I've talked about, and you kind of look a little bit more understand where I come from when I talk about the things I do, and where I'm going. And, you know, I grew up in a position where, you know, I want to better myself, and I want a better self for me and my family. I don't want to have the same life that I grew up on. You know, a lot of the things are turning out close to what it was, and I just see, if I keep going at the pace I'm going, I'm going to get past everything that I've ever had to get past. And I'm going to get past all the struggles that I've had to go through. I'm going to get past all the struggles I'm going through. I'm going to get past all the problems. And it's just success can take away a lot of stuff. And the people that say it doesn't, money doesn't buy happiness, maybe it doesn't buy happiness, but it can really alleviate a lot of the stress that causes problems, that causes the unhappiness. And it's true. I know there's times when you guys can sit at your house and you're talking with your spouse or your family member, and it's just 10 times more stressful, because not only are you dealing with the situations at home, but you're also looking at the situation in your pocketbook, thinking, how am I going to make rent this month? How am I going to make my car payment? How am I going to pay my insurance? How am I going to put food on the table for my kids? How am I going to afford to keep my lights on? I've sat in the dark, and we've sat in candles and stuff like that all around the house for a couple of days, because we didn't have the money to get the lights back on. I had to wait for some deposits to come in. So it's funny that you look at that kind of stuff and you look back, and at this point you just want to laugh at that kind of stuff and just be like, look at all these struggles that I've had to go through and all these different things to get to the position that I'm at, to get to where I need to be. And then once I'm sitting back and I'm in the position where I don't have to work and I can just enjoy the time with my family, that's the type of stuff that's going to be great stories down the road, because then you can look at it and just tell anybody, look, if I can go through all of this and still be where I'm at today, anything is possible. Anything. Being homeless, being, without a car for months, being without, lights, being without food in your fridge, being without, anything, having your kids ask you, Daddy, why are we so poor? So I've been there and I've done that, and it's going to be a humbling experience when I come back and I look at this and I just say, this is what I had to go through to get to where I'm at today, and that's exciting. So thanks for joining me here, guys. I'm gonna end it with that. And if you guys have any questions, you guys know how to reach me. My YouTube channel, you guys can reach me on Facebook, reach me on LinkedIn, wherever you guys can find me. I'm pretty found easily on Google. So look for me and find me if you want to reach out. Talk to you soon. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.